you know how to get people into your ecosystem. How'd you learn that? Because that's not a natural thing for an athlete to also be a good content creator and to think about how to get somebody's attention. Because usually, like, if you're an athlete, all you think about is a sport, you know, and that's a completely different skill that then you have to pick up. Was that natural for you to be that creative, to be able to figure out the content side, the attention game?
I think it did come quite naturally to me, in a sense that I was looking at it more from like the outside looking in. How am I gonna grab people's attention in what I do? And I think, like anything that we absorb, there's certain things from a marketing standpoint that will excite you, and I can just see it and scroll past. And the exact same way for every single person. That's what I knew. So that's what I did when it came to trying to attract people and excite people. But you have to always be reviewing and looking at what you're doing and understanding what emotions that's creating with the people that you want to attract. You know, like, doing that is great for attracting. Like, I get to just about reach out to people that are interested in strength training, but that's not going to attract Sally, who's 40 years old, that doesn't do Olympic weightlifting. So now it's like, okay, well, if I need to reach that audience, something has to change. So I just applied the processes that I understood, first of all, and then rinse and repeated into other demographics.
I think you're very analytical is kind of the way I perceive it, where, because you talked about this, I forget what podcast it was on, but it was like, you said, and I think I have the quote here somewhere, but you talk about when people are launching products, they've built a large audience and they're launching products where too many people will launch products that they think the audience wants versus what the audience says, I need that. And you've launched products that the audience says, I need that. And you also create content that says, you know, or that you create content that the audience is like, hey, I would consume that. Where'd you learn that? You know, that was that because of the young days and being around successful entrepreneurs where you were able to kind of get that information and that realization of, it's whatever the consumer wants, like, that's what I'm building, not what I want?
I think more than anything, it's because I've made the mistake myself of building and making a product that I think people want, and then it's not sold, and I've wondered why. So I think that's through my own mistakes more than anything. And this is the thing, like, people and entrepreneurs and marketers, everyone talks about their highlight reel and what they've done that's good, but I've made just as many, if not more, mistakes than I've made wins, you know. And I've had that exact thing where I've built products and I've gone, why is no one buying this? Surely this is what people need. But the thing is, what people need and what people want are two very different things. So you can have your, I'm making a great act of service hat on here because I know this is what people need, and no one takes it, and then go, you know what, I'm just going to make what's going to sell.
Have you had products that you haven't like gotten feedback on that have performed really well? And the only reason I ask is there's that quote from Henry Ford where it's like, if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have just said a faster horse. You know, like, they wouldn't have realized that they needed a car. Have you had products that you've worked on that have internally you knew it was going to be a hit and that they did, you know, they did take off?
100%. But this is where, like, education and I guess the story that you tell with a product is so important. And I wouldn't say I'm amazing at this myself. This is something that I'd love to get a lot better at. But for example, and I'll just take you back to two opposing products. The mobility manual, like, I knew people were struggling with that in seminars, and people can quite easily identify the fact that they can't do an overhead squat. You need mobility, boom, and I can sell it. I walked into a gym and filmed that product in one day, and it's by far the highest grossing and netting product that I've ever made. And I made it in 2-3 days. Okay. Versus a course that I still sell. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Olympic Weightlifting. That teaches you everything you could possibly learn on my seminar and more. And the value of that course is ridiculous. Doesn't sell.
Interesting.
And I'm like, for anyone, if they pick that up, they'll spend 5 times the amount to come to a seminar to learn what's in this course.
Yeah.
But it just hasn't been marketed well. And I've tried multiple different angles, renaming it, restructuring it, repackaging it, and I still haven't found it right yet. But the cost and time investment in that product that still doesn't sell very well versus something like the mobility manual is huge, you know.
How do you frame the mobility manual? And the reason I asked this is I think you framed it very well for me. You sold me on the manual when you were putting me through the drills, right? I did the splits. When I hit the splits, you were like, there's a big difference between flexibility and mobility. You're like, you're flexible, but you need more mobility, right? It's going to impact X, Y, Z. And then you put me through drills, and then you were kind of creating this narrative in my head that said I knew you had the product, but before we were done doing mobility drills, I was like, I'm going to buy it. You know, I'm going to purchase it. How have you framed that product? Because there may be some underlying, like there may be more of a thing of fixing the positioning of one product versus the other, where you've made that one a need, like versus the other one's like a want.
Yeah. Well, look, there's two things to take into consideration, or the way that I look at it, and you'll probably be able to educate me further on this. But if I post a photo of me in a deep squat with a heavy load over my head,
yeah,
people look at that and go, that's what I want. Association, purchase product.
Yeah.
I spent 3 to 10 minutes with you, giving you the understanding and the knowledge to understand the benefits of buying the product. But I now need to keep someone's attention through marketing for almost 100 times in length in order to be able to get them to the point to understand, to invest in the product. And I think that's one of the most challenging things now, especially when we're exposed to so much from an advertisement standpoint, and we're so conditioned to adverts that as soon as there's the whiff of this guy's trying to sell me something, you lost them. And that's the catch-22, I think, with something like that. If someone had the ability to sit and listen like you did today to understand the difference and the benefits, you're bought in. But not everyone will do, because it's such a saturated market now.
All right, so if you enjoyed that, then I got something better for you. I got something actually very special, and that's the full episode. That's 45 minutes to an hour, full of gems just like this, just scaled. And so if you want to listen to it, here's what you got to do. Just click the link on the screen. This is going to take you to the Sweat Equity channel with all the full podcast episodes, none of these clips, and you're going to be able to dive into the 1 hour of game that me and Brian spend probably way too much time prepping for, but it's for people like you. So like, subscribe, enjoy it, click it, and we'll see you on the other side.